Podcast of Poseidon is a spoiler-heavy podcast.
That's an understatement.
We're going to discuss not just the events of this book, but the Rhineverse as a whole, and really anything that we feel is relevant. You can find full spoiler warnings in the show notes.
The Tumblr god that came about, that was the daughter of Hades and Persephone, that got a lot of people to believe was a thing, but actually came about in like 2015.
Is this does this need to be a bonus episode?
I have no idea.
Maybe.
It's up to you. You can look into it and you can decide that one for yourself.
Oh, goodness. I don't know if I can dive into the Tumblr archives at my age. I'm 28, DJ. I've served my time in the Tumblr Wars.
Oh.
Maddy, do you want to share? Were you a member of the Tumblr Wars? Did you survive the battlefields?
I think I had a Tumblr for about 6 months, and then I was like, this is not for me.
So much work. Hello, mortals, monsters, and myth lovers alike. You're listening to Podcast of Poseidon. We explore how ancient myths become modern pop culture, braiding Rick Riordan's, Percy Jackson, and the Olympians. This is Chapter 32, Apollo. I'm your co-host, on loan from the Hunters of Artemis, Darien and Smartt. Joining me is my co-host and brother, hailing from the way station, DJ.
How's everybody doing today? The way station is pretty nice this time of year. That's all I got to say on the matter.
I think that's all you should say on the matter. But before we get into that, we got to swing by the camp store to make sure we have everything we need. DJ, guess what I found in the camp store?
Is it our new patron?
It is! A big thank you and a big welcome to our newest God tier level patron, Dionysus the Drunk.
Thank you so much, man. We do appreciate it. And thank you to all our other patrons. Your support means so much to us.
It really does. All of you make us feel truly #blessed. Just a reminder, supporting on Patreon isn't the only way to support the show. If you can't afford the cents, which we totally get it, we appreciate your listenership, you can support the show without paying a dime by rating and reviewing us on your favorite podcatcher.
You can go to lovethepodcast.com/podcast Poseidon to see all the places you can rate the podcast on your device. Thank you to everyone who's gotten us to 5 stars on Spotify.
Now, we got to shift to a serious note. We're all aware of the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. It's a terrifying, heartbreaking situation. This month, for our monthly Patreon donation, we'll be donating to UNICEF Ukraine.
UNICEF has been providing emergency response to the conflict in eastern Ukraine by supporting health, nutrition, HIV prevention, education, safe drinking water, sanitation, and protection for children and families.
We currently have 6 patrons on Patreon, so we'll be donating an additional $20, bringing our total donation to $26. We know it's not much, but we want to do our part to help children where we can. You can learn more about UNICEF Ukraine at the link in our show notes.
Thank you to our patrons for making this donation possible. And now, on to the show.
All right, DJ, are you excited?
I'm pretty excited.
I'm very, very excited because I know how much you care about Apollo.
I am. I mean, yeah, I'm super stoked about Apollo.
Apollo.
But sadly, you are going to shackle me this episode.
Yes, though we are speaking of Apollo, we will not be commenting on the trials of, because our guest today, co-host of the fabulous Fatal Flaw podcast, Maddy, RNBSN, is only on book 2. Maddy, say hello!
Hello, everyone.
I thought it was book 3. Hold on a second.
I'm halfway through book 3.
Okay, so has only read the first 2.
So she's read half the series.
Okay.
That's true. I got the way station. I understood that reference.
Yeah, good job, DJ. So, yes, we will only be discussing Apollo as he appears in Percy Jackson Olympians and maybe a little bit in Heroes Olympus, but, like, honestly, not a lot going on there either.
Yeah.
But, DJ, to make it up to you, how about this? We will do a bonus episode over on Bunker 9 that is solely Trials of Apollo, and we'll go into everything.
I'm very excited about that.
Is this an acceptable laurel peace offering? The olive branch?
I will accept your offering.
Wonderful. So, Maddy, tell our listeners a little bit about you and what is your Rhineverse affiliation? Why are you here?
Yeah, why am I here? I'm not sure. But I have almost no qualifications, but I'm just excited to be here. So my name's Maddy. I am one half of the Fatal Flaw podcast. So we are a Percy Jackson podcast that instead of going book by book, chapter by chapter, we explore themes as a whole throughout Percy Jackson and the Olympians and Heroes of Olympus. It's super fun. Totally an excuse to talk about Percy Jackson with our friends. We have a great time over there, so check us out. And I'm here on the Apollo episode because I am an RN. I am a registered nurse. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about my godly parent, which is Apollo, the god of medicine. So kind of halfway.
Yeah, no.
Godly tutor.
When I was going through and listening to Fatal Flaw for the first time, and you mentioned, oh yeah, like, I think my godly parent is Apollo. I like have a spreadsheet of things I learned about the other podcasters to approach them with, like, would you like to come on my podcast and talk about this topic that I know interests you? Just my little breadcrumbs. Hello, come be our friend. And I was in the spreadsheet. And then later on he said, actually, I think I affiliate more with such and such. And I removed that from my brain. Don't even remember who you said because it was completely disruptive to the narrative I wanted to spin.
That's okay. I think it was Frey from Magnus Chase, the Norse god. So totally irrelevant. He is not in my brain today. I don't care about him. But all about Apollo.
Maybe when we do the Magnus Chase books after this Percy Jackson run, you may come back and discuss Frey with us. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Feelings? Yeah. Tight. But for now, we're still in Greek mythology, still in Percy Jackson, and we're learning about Apollo. So, Maddy, would you like to kick us off? Tell us, what do you remember about Apollo from the Percy Jackson books?
Okay, Apollo, he shows up and he drives a bus, or he has Talia drive a bus, and he's pretty obnoxious, and we don't really like him yet, and I don't think we ever do.
That's just a lie. But continue.
And this is why I didn't let you do this part today, DJ.
It's fine.
Maddy, go on.
I think that's about it. I don't know.
Really it. No, yeah.
He doesn't show up very much in the Percy Jackson books, I don't think, unless I'm missing something.
No, he's a platypus. He doesn't do much yet.
Not
He
hasn't put his little hat on yet. He's just Apollo. So, yeah, that's...
just a platypus. They don't do much.
They don't do much. He's just Apollo. He doesn't do much.
Yeah, I don't think Rick had the book series planned out yet. I don't think he planned on Trials of Apollo yet at this point.
Maybe not yet.
Imagine.
I don't know. It's very hard to know what he does and doesn't have planned out because he leaves breadcrumbs all over all of his series that he pulls back later for the next series. I'm like, oh!
But... yeah, Apollo's big thing in this book is that he lets a 15-year-old drive the Sun Chariot.
That's old enough. I was 15 when I was driving.
The Sun Chariot?
Fuck, it might as well have been. That car was cool.
She was a tree for a while. When you were 15, you hadn't been a tree. But when Talia's 15... she had been a tree.
And also, she's hadn't even had the experience of going from, I was 12, and now I'm 15. She was, I was 12 4 days ago, and now I guess I'm 15. Babe, you're still 12. I don't care what
15
aging your tree stuff has gone. You are 12. So, yeah, the Apollo, I think... well, DJ, do you want to tell us a little bit about Apollo? And I'm, again, you have... little tiny baby inch. What do you like about Apollo in this series?
Do you mean in Percy Jackson?
Yes. The one we're talking about right now.
I do like Apollo.
Yeah?
I think he's a fun character. Mainly because, again, for its time, he's supposed to be the typical dude bro Chad who has a nice car, looks really good.
Maserati Spider.
Yeah, he's supposed to be that stereotypical guy, and it's not like it's overly offensive about it. He's just, I'm a cool dude. There you go. That's all we get to see from Apollo.
Yeah, he rolls up. Percy describes him as looking like 17, 18 years old. Kind of gives him Luke vibes, but like definitely more laid back. Apparently less trauma on the surface.
Less traitorous, if you will.
Yes, I do believe that is correct. Yes, less traitorous is a good word.
That's like an SAT word. Gosh.
As Talia describes it, hot, and I do appreciate the pun.
Yeah, it's very good.
I think all of the gods really have, like, maybe one or two big scenes that they're like, here I am, here's what I'm about, and then they just exit stage left pursued by Bear for the rest of the series and are mentioned periodically or show up for, like, council meetings and shits, but don't do anything. In the Titan's Curse, Apollo does show up.
Wait, no, hold on. Yeah, Apollo does show up later, and he's super cool about it. Like, he shows up as an old homeless man. It's like, yeah, I got you guys a ride.
Yes, he does do that, which is a classic ancient Greek trope, the gods to disguise themselves as beggars. Like, Athena does it a lot in the Odyssey. So Apollo shows up and he's got them, hey, there's a train. Hop this train, it'll take you across the coast.
There's a train with a bunch of nice cars on it.
Yeah,
like Lamborghinis and like Mercedes and shit.
No, they don't drive these cars. They
Everybody
just sit in these cars.
Yeah, they sit in their cars. Like, everybody gets their own, and it's just a train that takes them all the way to New Mexico.
Mm-hmm. And so it is legitimately useful. We should underline that he does only help them because their quest is to rescue Artemis.
And that's fair.
And that's fair.
I would only help, like, if it's somebody that, like, I don't have much of an association with, but their quest is to help you, Darien, I'd help them out a little bit.
DJ.
Aww.
I appreciate you.
Well, like, yeah.
Thank you. Percy doesn't appreciate this as much because he is on a quest to save Annabeth, and he's a little myth that Apollo literally couldn't care less that there is a mortal girl also in danger. His one and only focus is, someone messed with my sister, and because of these fucked up ancient laws, I actually can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it sucks.
You know what? Take what you can get, Percy.
Yeah.
It's ancient laws.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Except for when it's Apollo.
Yeah.
And he's pretending.
Beggar is the chooser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Apollo is a fascinating character in Greek mythology because he's just a god of so many things. Like, they're all gods of, like, a lot of stuff, like, usually more than one. They'll have spheres of influence. But Apollo specifically, the god of archery, music and dance, truth and prophecy, healing and diseases, the sun and light, poetry, and more. That's just from the Wikipedia page. Wikipedia couldn't even be bothered to tell me what was and more. They just decided, yeah, like 12's enough, and more.
He was the Greeks' Gary Stew.
Yeah, and DJ, exactly. Like, Apollo was literally described as, like, quoting Edith Hamilton here, the most Greek of all of the gods. Like, he is literally the golden boy. Like, the Greek version of the all-American boy trope, plays football, gets good grades, volunteers on the weekends at the soup kitchen. Like, the idea of what makes a perfect being, that was Apollo for the Greeks. Also, the reason he has all these godly jobs is probably because he's an amalgamation of a bunch of pre-Hellenistic deities, but that's not what this podcast is about. Yeah. I just thought it's fun to note, because, once again, everything comes from somewhere, and there's no one right way to say it. But now we could talk about the sun god thing. We could talk about the archery thing. It's a big one. The healing, the music. We could talk about the prophecy thing, but I, again, fear that the prophecy is going to tread a little too much for DJ to handle.
A little bit.
So, since Nurse Maddy is here, we're going to focus on the healing factor.
Yes.
Which is super fun because it actually kind of sort of never shows up in the Percy Jackson books.
It shows up in Will Solace. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's literally my notes, DJ!
It shows up a little bit in Heroes of Olympus, for sure. And a little bit in Will Solace, but yeah, they don't mention it a lot.
No, Apollo himself isn't rolling up and showing off a lot of healing stuff. As I remember in Heroes of Olympus, where it shows up, it's him telling the heroes they have to go to his son, Asclepius, who is the god of medicine. And so I found
after he specifically picks them a flower, though.
Right. Well,
it's got to be picked from Artemis or Apollo.
Okay, but that's the ingredient. That's not actually healing. Artemis could have done it. It's not healing.
Yeah, but Artemis was talking to the girls.
As she does. As I think it's just Hazel? Who's in that? Not the episode.
It's Hazel and Frank.
Yes, yes, exactly. It was Frank and Hazel and Leo getting the stuff they had to go talk to Asclepius because he is the god of medicine and he's going to make the physician's cure. In Greek mythology, a lot of the whole Apollo as a healer, like that association with healing, wasn't super prominent with him as like the archery, the sun god, the prophecy thing was by like these Hellenistic times. It was a lot older, and by the time we're getting to these stories that we really have recorded and we kept telling and really reference, that doesn't show up a lot, but there's still like epitaphs where they say like talking to Apollo for healing and referencing Apollo for healing and stuff. But it really manifests a lot in his son being the god of medicine. That's like where the core of that comes from. Asclepius, yes, which is fascinating
and his
because
Caduceus.
Are you just saying words?
No, it's just funny because they're in Smite. There's this thing called the Asclepius's rod that increases healing to allies around you by 30%.
Does it increase your own healing?
Yeah, well, it's just like an aura. And then Caduceus shield, which does the same thing, but it's a defense item. That's all.
No, that's really good. Thank you, DJ. But yeah, much like how in Greek storytelling, Apollo's son is really where that healing manifests. So too does it in the Orionverse, because it really is Will Solus where we associate most of the healing with Apollo. Because I really, again, will stand by this, pretty sure Apollo doesn't heal a single person.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Will Solus does all of it.
Yeah.
Will Solus does a little bit too much healing, in my opinion, for a 16-year-old boy.
In your literal professional opinion, Maddy, do you think Will Solus needs to, like, maybe step back?
Well,
I think Will Solus needs to go to medical school before he starts sewing people's limbs back on, because that's just too messed up for me.
Magic, though.
He is literally sewing, though. It's not like he just puts his hand on there and they mend back together. Dude is doing stitches.
Well, yeah, you could do stitches, but I bet it heals faster than if a normal doctor did it.
Well, yeah, but they're also eating nectar and ambrosia.
Exactly. They're demigods.
So all of this data is completely skewed. This is an outlier and should not be considered in this work.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing any sterile technique with his
we don't know
medicine
the facilities that Camp Half-Blood have in terms of medical.
But I think we can guess, and I don't. It is just the Apollo cabin, I'm pretty sure.
I bet Wilson was like, hey, Connor, go grab me some vodka. Okay, I can make this sterile.
Connor definitely has vodka. The Hermes cabin definitely has vodka.
Didn't he send the Stoll brothers to CVS to, like, get a bunch of medical supplies and, like, steal a bunch of stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Looting and little Sunshine Boys, like, pay for that. And we're all just like, don't. Don't pay for shit. Like, you were saving the world. That is payment enough. Go steal some Band-Aids and definitely some Red Bulls.
The original universal healthcare, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The first time we had socialized medicine in America. It's amazing.
It is. It was during a fucking Titan siege.
Oh my gosh.
Now, so here's a fun game I played. It was called Find a Myth Where Apollo Healed Someone.
Mm-hmm.
And when you search Greek mythology Apollo healing, you will find every single entry that mentions Apollo, because the SEO is like, yeah, Apollo, god of healing, and cannot determine that what I'm looking for is a myth where he actually heals someone.
I'll just say Apollo heals story.
And they're going to be like, yeah, god of medicine. Totally. Do you want to hear about what happened to poor Daphne? No, I don't. No, I don't, actually. Do you have anybody else for me? God of archery? Maybe? Ooh, Cassandra. How about Cassandra? I'm like, I'm also not. Oh, but how about Hyacinth? Do you want to hear about the Hyacinth? I really don't. Internets. So like, I'll go to my girl Edith Hamilton. Look at the Apollo entries there. Yes, he is god of healing. No, he doesn't heal anybody.
Well, it says, I found one in the Iliad. He sends down a plague, but then he heals it.
Oh.
Actually, yes, DJ, that is something I note.
Is that the only one that you found too?
You are far more likely to find him causing harm than healing someone. In the Iliad,
He's
sends
also the
down
god of plagues.
He is the god of plagues. He sends down plagues arrows because the Greeks have offended one of his priests by taking his daughter and dragging her off to be a sex slave. We will get to that later. Actually,
hey, shout out to Apollo for standing up for his priest.
Actually, yeah. To be fair, Athena didn't do that.
No.
Athena didn't do that. Hey, Medusa.
Athena took it out on her priests. In fact,
this is not Athena's episode.
No, it's not.
Yeah. In the Iliad, Apollo also does a little bit more healing for Hector. He heals him after a serious injury during the war and rallies him. He also steps in to save Hector a bunch of times. Apollo really, really hated the Greeks during the Trojan War.
I don't blame him.
He was not having this. And he's directly responsible for how everything plays out because he keeps helping Hector. But that's really one of the only times I could find this stuff in the Iliad, and then in Plato's Symposium, of all places, right? Hold on to your seats. I had to do a lot of deep dive to figure out. I have not studied Plato a lot yet. I'm sure I will have to eventually. So Plato's Symposium is this work where Plato is recounting a dinner party, at least this part of it, between Socrates and Aristophanes. Sure, I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah, that's how you pronounce that.
Yep. The latter being a Greek playwright, also the father of comedy.
Yeah.
This is not a fun detail. This is important for what I'm going to say next.
Yeah.
This is fascinating because this section is where people mostly quote Plato's opinion about soulmates. So this is where that story of once upon a time, all the humans had 2 faces and 4 arms and 4 legs, and they were super powerful and they were really unruly and they were just a mess to deal with and they didn't respect the gods. So Zeus cuts them all in half. And that's why every human is running around looking for their soulmate in this incredibly monogamous take on what love and romance is. Fun fact, in the Symposium, it is the Greek playwright, father of comedy, who is the one telling the story, which may indicate Plato's actual feelings regarding the concept of soulmates, because it doesn't sound like Plato was a super fan of this guy. That's neither here nor there, but I did find it interesting and important context for when folks really, really on the internet like to say that Plato believed in soulmates and hear what he had to say. And they just leave out that context.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah. It's just like a bad stand-up routine that Plato's making fun of.
Yeah, basically. But the reason I mention it for this conversation is because in that myth, Zeus calls on Apollo to put the humans back, not together, but mend them so they don't die after he ripped them all in half. So that's why humans look as they do now, because Apollo fashioned their form to accommodate for missing their literal other halves.
Okay, so Apollo is who I blame for being ugly.
Oh,
No, Apollo's who you blame for having 4 limbs and a head.
Apollo's who we blame for not having an extra arm to help with rock climbing. And balancing. Can you imagine if you're carrying all this stuff and then you also want to pick up your cat?
Apollo's who we blame for not
arm.
having a tail.
I don't think the humans had tails beforehand, DJ.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, he could have given us balanced tails.
A tail bone, Darien? A tail bone?
You're right. Apollo really could have fashioned us tails while he was at it. Davis wants us all to live in Final Fantasy Land where we all have cool appendages.
That'd be fun.
Having
a tail would be sick.
For balance or for grabbing things?
Yes.
Okay, noted. Interesting.
Can you imagine? I just have a tail up here and I'm sipping on my fucking Mountain Dew holding it with my tail?
No.
Mm-mm. No, because here's the problem. They'd be fleshy and weird. They wouldn't be like a swoopy cat tail.
Or would they be
and they wouldn't be cool and scaly like a snake tail.
A mane. Or Accessories.
No,
Actually, we could get a tail sock.
I really hate that you went with sock and not like ring or jewelry. We have to.
Why would you have a sock?
I hate
You
this.
can't. Then you can't grip things with it. This has gone off the rails.
What are you guys talking about? You guys are crazy.
Oh my god.
You guys are insane.
So,
Okay, we're the crazy
we are
ones.
the sock tail
Monkeys.
man.
We're the problem.
Monkeys have fur.
Yeah, and then we shave a monkey. He still looks fine, and that tail is still useful.
I think that's true. I don't think the monkey is fine.
I don't know what you guys are. I don't know what you guys.
So
are
okay,
talking
I mean,
about. Hey, if you guys are listeting, tweet at us.
No.
Would it be cool? What kind of tail would humans have if it was cool?
Cool. Okay, tweet it. Tweet at us because DJ's on the Twitter. Don't talk to me about this on Instagram.
Do it on Instagram too. Talk to her about it.
No, I will block you. I don't care if you're our most loyal patron.
Like, who's to say that the tails wouldn't have fur? Cat people got fur on their tails.
What?
So one time
They
Apollo
got the
gave
hair the ear.
No, stop. One time Apollo gave King Minos donkey ears. That's what I have. That's what I have.
That's
for you.
healing.
Yeah, it's healing his ears into an ass.
Because one time Apollo and Pan got into like a musical jam sesh competition, and
Joe's wrong.
Well, here's what's fascinating. So Apollo was declared the winner of that. King Minos was there, but he wasn't the judge. The judge picked like Apollo wins, and everyone's like, "Yes, of course Apollo wins. He's the god of music."
Okay. So then, Minos said, "Oh, that's wrong. Pan was better."
King Minos said, "I preferred Pan actually." So Apollo just gave him ears dull enough to match his senses.
I like that. That's clever.
That's very good.
And then Minos got real into hats after that.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
So, like I said, there's not a lot in terms of mythology when we're focusing specifically on the healing factor of Apollo. I found 2 occasions where he teaches folks healing. One time Dionysus declared war on India.
Yeah.
Question mark in my notes.
He mentions that in Rick Riordan's series.
Yeah, I can't. I can't. Anyway, so one of the people who is on this war mission is one of Apollo's sons, who falls in a river and nearly drowns, and Apollo saves him and mends him and then teaches his son better healing techniques and then sends him back to Dionysus to help with that. Aretasius? Sure, why not? That's how that's pronounced. He's also said to discover beekeeping, which is just one of those things that I love about Greek mythology, where it's like, here's this thing. Also, this guy was the god of beekeeping.
Apollo or his son?
No, his son. The guy who fell in the river. He discovered beekeeping.
Discovered beekeeping. Mm-hmm. Right on.
So we have him to thank for honey, I guess.
No, I actually really like that because
Yeah.
one thing that I swear by is hot tea with honey when I'm sick.
You know
And
what?
so
Yes.
Honey is great.
I love that.
I'll defend honey from anybody who tries to say agave is better.
Agave is not better.
Imagine. It's not even better for the
Imagine thinking
environment.
agave is better than honey. Yeah, no, honey and hot tea. I will turn it into basically a honey brew when my throat hurts. A little bit of tea, it's mostly hot water, and then I've changed the consistency of the solution.
Jeez.
Okay, I probably won't recommend that, but that's fine.
I don't know if that's very good for
Maddie
your
says
arteries.
no. Yeah, but it makes my throat feel better, and I'm grumpy. Leave me alone, I'm sick.
No, that's fair. I feel that.
That's okay. You can do whatever you want when you're sick.
Oh, thank you. Yes, you have no laws. There is no laws for when you're sick. Last thing I have in our mythology segment is Apollo had really, really bad luck in any of his romantic endeavors. Astonishingly bad luck.
And it's rough.
Yeah, relatable.
And we're not going to get into all of that. If you know, then you know.
Yeah.
But one time, it actually seems like it worked out fine because he fell in love with this mortal Iapis, and he wanted to give him the gift of prophecy. And because that's kind of Apollo's move, he's like, I really like you. You're cute. Let me show you the future. And that generally actually doesn't work out for anybody.
Yeah,
And
Wasn't that the Dark Prophecy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that. I don't know if did that work out there.
Well, I said it doesn't. I said it doesn't usually work out well. So Iapis, maybe he has heard that this doesn't usually work out. So instead he says, how about you teach me how to heal so I can prolong my dad's life because he's old and sick? And Apollo says, cool. And then he does. And Iapis is said to have been the doctor of Aeneas and healed him after the Trojan War, which is a big deal since Aeneas' descendants go on to found Rome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
on.
not.
Well, it depends. It honestly does
Depends on
depend on
who
who
you
you
ask.
ask.
I'd say Rome was pretty positive.
They
Rome
invented
did some
cement.
good stuff. They did some bad stuff, but what society
But
hasn't?
what civilizations don't?
Fair enough.
Since we're talking about this, Apollo is the first god mentioned in the Hippocratic Oath. It starts
That's
with
cool.
Yep. Sorry, Maddy, go on.
Oh, I was just saying that's cool. I don't know the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah.
I never took an oath.
Yeah, is that another thing nurses have to do?
So we took an oath of caring or whatever, but it basically just said like I'm not gonna do anything to hurt anyone. But it wasn't like the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah. Well, and I think like most doctors aren't taking the Hippocratic Oath. Like they're not swearing to Apollo the physician and Asclepius and Hygeia and Panacea.
It's very much more along the lines of the basic principles of what the Hippocratic Oath stands for, and it's I'll heal anybody and I won't do no harm.
Yeah, basically that's the idea. But I thought it was interesting for talking about him as a healer, even though we don't have a lot of myths with him running around. Like, if you want to see Apollo shooting some arrows, you've got that in spades. Sun God, Bet, prophecy all over the place. You want to see him healing, it's a little hard to catch. But as I said, like
I bet there are other things about him that are a little hard to catch because he's just so many.
So many. But like as I said, like it's still intrinsic to the nature of Apollo and how he was how he was viewed in ancient Greece, that you have him being cited first in this whole decree that physicians would take. It's also one thing interesting I found is that like Apollo's like his whole thing is like healing and in this sense like warding off harm, like evoking his name to ward off like evil and harm essentially, and that not just representing like healing physical damage but like this overall sense of wellness. And there was this philosopher Olympiodorus the Younger who wrote extensively about Plato. Yep, Plato making a comeback in this episode. Who would have guessed it? Who would have thought it? Here he is again. Don't call it a return. He never left. But in one of the works, Olympiodorus writes, "These two, Asclepius and Plato, Apollo did beget. One that he may heal bodies, the other to heal souls." So there's also this association with Apollo, like healing the psyche. And I want to bring this up because I think it's interesting to view Apollo as like the god of mental health.
I thought that was Dionysus.
Well, Dionysus maybe is a god of a state of mental health.
He can cause it and heal it.
Well, you know what? In our Dionysus episode, we really only focused on his party god aspects, so maybe when we circle back.
Maybe when we get to Battle of Labyrinth, then we bring up Madness.
Then we'll get there. Yeah, we'll dive into that a little bit more. But yes, I liked that.
That was pretty good.
I did find it on a Tumblr blog, and it took me a long time to be able to confirm whether Olympiodorus was an actual real dude who actually wrote about Plato. So it was another one of those
Olympiodorus.
like, is this real? So with all of this context we've just learned, how do we feel about Apollo?
I love Apollo.
I have mixed feelings about Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like he mostly just causes medical problems instead of fixing medical problems.
Yeah.
Well, he's the god of
so-
plagues, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to just like throw that out that maybe he's to blame for COVID. I don't want to lay blame on one person, but if we're gonna choose one,
like, if we want to blame someone there, I think Apollo is as fair a blame as anybody, really.
Yeah, and I haven't run into him in the front lines taking care of COVID patients, so
Exactly.
You don't know. He could be doing his thing in the back lines. You don't know.
Well, Maddy,
Gods
he
are
sent
very
you.
indirect, you know.
Yeah. And Maddy, he sent you, so.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
There you go.
So we got to touch this because it's podcast episode. We got to hit on a little bit. Anybody got any favorite versions of Apollo from pop culture?
Yes, in the hit series Trials of Apollo.
No, okay. I muted Davis's mic. DJ has officially been muted. I can mute
I'm not done here yet. Hold on.
Yet I realize I have this little soundboard I should play with more often. Maddy, do you have?
I can't say that I've run into him anywhere else.
No, that's fair because even when I was intentionally trying to dig up other examples beyond the two I had from the top of my head, I could not find any that were substantial enough to be interesting. Yeah, he's in the God of War series. Don't talk to me about this.
I wasn't going to.
Oh, no,
Okay.
not sorry, I didn't mean you, DJ. I meant, like, the general universe.
The general universe.
Like, yes, I know. Obviously, Lore Olympus.
I think he's in a video game.
He's in a few.
That I've played. But
he's not in Hades, so...
Which is wild.
See, I was gonna say, I think he's in Hades, but I was like, I can't even, like, 100% say that he is, and I guess he's not, so
he's
never
not
mind.
in Hades.
Just kidding.
God, I love Hades. He isn't, and I will bring it up because I brought it up in the last 2 episodes, so I have to keep that hot streak going, get that turkey 3 for 3. He is in the Lumberjanes series, which is a comic book series by Boom Studios that are like very much. It is a comic book about it's like about a girls' camp, and they're just hardcore lady types that are in a cryptic woods and doing cool shit and making friendships that'll last a lifetime. And it's super fun and very sweet, and I love them all so much. And the listeners have heard me go on and on about it. But one of the first arcs is all that you discover, all the trouble that the camp has been dealing with the boys' camp along the way has been caused by Artemis, who has disguised herself as a camper, and Apollo, who has disguised himself as like one of like the sergeants at this like military, Boy Scout camp. And I did find that to be a weird, like, I feel like very un-Apollo-like move to disguise himself as the authority figure, as like this very like gruff sergeant type. Although when they are uncovered, he does immediately turn back into a teenage boy. So, and that's it. That's not very interesting. Apollo doesn't come back. So
the few things that I can think of Apollo being in, he's not in a lot. He's definitely not in a lot that I've played, and it is a little unfortunate that he's not in this game I've been playing called. What the fuck was the name of this game?
Davis!
Titan Quest. Titan Quest. Sorry.
But he's not in this.
He's not in it, which is it's fun. It's a fun game, and right now I have realized that they actually go to different pantheons throughout the story of this game.
Ooh.
I thought it was just going to be Greek, but it's not. But
fun.
he is in Smite, and it'd be a damn shame if we did a God episode that I didn't touch down upon their god in Smite.
You gotta. We make time for it. It's in the schedule.
Yeah, he's a hunter, which is an ADC, and his whole thing is you want to build attack speed. The main draw to him is his ult, which is the Sun Chariot, and it's called Across the Skies. You call upon it, you hop in it, and theoretically can last forever. And so, like, you're above the battlefield, you can see everything going on, you can quickly get there, and it can theoretically last forever. The only reason it doesn't, and the reason I say theoretically, is because it's mana-based, and it consumes, like, 10 mana every, like, 0.2 seconds or whatever.
Okay.
So it gets a little crazy. And it's a lot of fun, because every now and again, they'll have a game mode come by, and you have infinite mana.
Oh.
I love playing Apollo when I have infinite mana.
No.
Because then I could just hop into it and I could do a little scouting across the whole map. The maps are big, across the whole map. And then I just jump back down and I'm like, okay, I'm ready.
That actually sounds like very good strategy.
A lot of times these game modes also have cooldown rates of 80%. And so then it's on like a 20-second cooldown.
My God, okay.
It's a blast.
It sounds like a blast, honestly.
It'd also be a damn shame if we talked about Apollo to talk about space. He is what they name after, the space stuff.
I mean, yes, Apollo was like the Apollo. Maddy was so. What are you talking about?
It took a second.
Yes.
All of NASA stuff. And like honestly, that's what a lot of games that I realize. Anytime I search Apollo game, it comes up with a bunch of space games.
I mean, that definitely leans towards Apollo more as like the sun god figure. And it is worth noting because I do like it. But since we are discussing Apollo as like, the healer, and since we have an actual healer, an honest to God's medical professional here, I thought we'd maybe take the opportunity to get some professional opinion on some wild ass things that have happened to people in Greek mythology. This is a game I call Mythical Medical Maladies. Maddy, would you like to play?
I would love to play.
Awesome. Before we begin, I have a disclaimer that I would like you to read, DJ, because you have just a rather serious voice that I think.
Thank you. I appreciate
this needs
that.
to be. Yep, I'm gonna drop it to you in Discord real quick. I think you're just like, you should read this, so all of our good bases are covered.
The following segment is for entertainment purposes only. Nothing the host or their guest Maddy say should be taken as actual medical advice. If you're experiencing any ailments discussed in this episode, call 911 or seek out counsel from the physician. Which I don't understand why you would be experiencing some of these ailments, since they're all mythological in nature.
But just in case,
just in case, I
call a doctor.
suppose.
None of this is meant to be medical advice or opinion.
I just know that if we didn't put that in there, you would put out this episode and someone would message me and be like, hey, my uncle's cousin's great aunt
got petrified by
turned to stone
Medusa
last
the other
week.
day.
Yeah, like, what do I do? And I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it.
Don't message Maddy about this. Don't at her. Don't at us. We don't know. But on that note, Maddy, a patient has come in and they have been petrified by Medusa. What should they do?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, they should really invest in some like gardening tools for their neighbors because they're probably going to be staying in a garden.
You want it to look nice.
But I think a treatment for that, how do you break down concrete? I don't even know. Okay. I guess, so if they're stone, they would be pretty cold. Mm-hmm. So warm blankets and hot tea.
With honey?
It's a little too thick.
Okay. Just hot tea. Is there a specific kind of tea you recommend?
We use Lipton at my hospital. So that's all I got. This isn't sponsored, though.
No, they're not sponsored. So Lipton makes no money. Or we make no money from Lipton. Maddy, what type of tea do you like? What's your go-to?
So, can I tell you my tea story? This is a recent thing. So I was recently in Idaho on an assignment. And on my last shift, or second to last shift, I was like rifling through the break room and I was like out to steal things because that's what you do.
You got it.
And I found this tea and it was Tazo brand and it was French macaron.
Ooh.
And I tried it and it was so freaking good. So at every Target and grocery store that I went to, I looked for this tea, could not find it anywhere. And then I was in St. Louis visiting my family and I found it. So I would recommend it. It's super good. And then my roommate texted me, my roommate in Seattle texted me and was like, hey, what's that tea that you like? And I was like, oh, it's this one. I just found it at Target. And she's like, I found it at the grocery store. And I was like,
yay!
So I can get it here. Super good. Okay. That was a little aside.
So I don't have to mail you tea. Wonderful. No one mail Maddy tea. She's got it. But I love that. So you said it was Tazo French macaron?
Yes.
Fabulous.
Nice.
So go. I will definitely. Well, I was going to say I'd try it, but clearly you can't find it in my area. So.
No, you can probably find it in Idaho. No one knows. I don't know. You can find it at the hospital.
I will go to the hospital. Like, I don't want your Lipton. Bring me the Tazo.
Now you know they have it, so you can get it from them.
They have it. We know it's there. Awesome. Well, DJ, do you want to take turns? We can go back and forth.
Well, I was going to give an answer for the stone to stone one because I thought it could be fun as well. If I could.
Okay. Are we going to do an actual?
Yeah.
Maddy, actual medical professional. DJ, actual professional nonsense.
Yes.
Perfect. DJ, please go. Tell us what do we deal with it?
Well, there's a few ways. Personally, I like the classic running water. I think getting that running water right over the stone. A lot of times you'll see even the stone just melts away a little bit. Kiss from a dryad, very good one too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It just wakes up the nature inside of them, and then they become normal again. Very classic.
Yes, I see.
That or just kill Medusa and then everybody.
Is that what happens?
Not at all. No. That's not how you do it. No.
She's not like a master vampire. She's not a master vampire.
So are you telling me this isn't actual medical advice? Like what you said was not correct, or?
I mean, it could be. Have we ever encountered somebody who turned to stone?
Via Medusa? I feel like that's the part one to underline that it is in fact a stone caused by Medusa, because I feel like there's probably a condition that maybe is similar. Okay, but speaking of tea, here's your next patient, Narcissus and Davis. Your next patient has come in. They have been transformed into a mint plant because they were stepping on too close to someone else's husband. What do we do?
Okay, well, I think first we have to figure out who turned them into a mint plant.
Okay, it was Persephone.
Okay, because that's important. Because I think
okay.
I think a lot of people can turn people into plants.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
So now that we know that it was Persephone, I guess we just have to call Hades, get a prescription, and pick it up at Walgreens. I don't know. Prescription for what? Who knows?
Obviously Walgreens, yes.
Here's some lines. Go get it.
Okay. DJ, what do you got?
Well, you know, the classics, running water, get it on the plant, a little bit of sunlight.
9 out of 10 times, running water cures everything, apparently.
Like an old-timey doctor with cocaine.
There it is, get your cocaine.
Here's your snake oil.
Get it on the plant.
Literal snake oil.
Gets all in the leaves, the roots. Give it some sunlight, you know. They're going to grow in no time.
You're just trying to nourish a mint plant for your tea?
Yeah, you're just describing being a plant owner.
Or kiss from Persephone works like a charm.
All
right. Fine. Here we go. Let me pull up. I've got them like organized. We're going to step it up a little bit. What do I got? Okay. Oh, so your next patient, real fucked up, cut down one of the trees in Demeter's sacred grove and turned it into a banquet table. Now, he's been cursed with insatiable hunger. If he doesn't get cured, he's going to literally eat his own flesh. What do you suggest?
Okay, lap band surgery. I don't know, I just pulled that out of thin air, but I mean, if you have lap band surgery, you can't eat as much, and anything you eat just goes right through you, so wouldn't make him eat as much, I guess. I
think and that is what we were looking for here. All right. DJ?
Okay. Are the real medical professional?
Yep.
Yep.
Professional nonsense.
The mythological medical professional. A little bit of running water down the esophagus is going to fill the stomach up quite nicely. You're not going to want to eat as much because that stomach is full of water.
That's just bad diet advice. Drink water all day so you're not hungry.
You know, or you can either both start with KI. I bet you know where I'm going with this. Kiss or kill. Your choice, Demeter.
Okay. Why are we playing on fairy tale rules?
It's funny.
That's a very simple, clear, concise answer.
All right.
It's funny.
All right. Here is our most extreme case. This is the last one I got for you, and it is the most extreme. It's going to take all your professional experience. It's all your medical wisdom, all your training to help this patient. This patient gave wisdom to the humans when they shouldn't have and pissed off Zeus, and now their liver is being eaten by eagles every day. What do you recommend?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think a little running water.
Works like a charm.
We're gonna running water for the missing liver.
This is a good one. So I think obviously we're gonna have to go liver transplant, and instead of transplant medications that you would take to keep your organ from being rejected, we're gonna have to go with maybe some like barbed wire around the area. Keep those out.
Just keep the eagles out.
diligent wound care to make sure that these eagles are not getting in. And then also, I would say probably animal control. Yeah, I'm thinking of that scene from Parks and Rec where they ask animal control to get rid of the infected birds. And they come in with like a bunch of dead birds and they're like, what do you want us to do with these birds? That's what you need. You just need them to kill all of them.
Kill the birds. Yep.
You can pick this up at CVS. Walmart does not carry it.
Perfect.
Or
Awesome.
Walgreens.
Walgreens. Yep. All right, DJ, I do think Maddy gave us, I think she covered it there, but I do, like, it's only fair. Like, what do you got for us?
All right, you got two options. Both start with K again. Think you know where I'm going with this?
I don't.
Except, it could happen to multiple entities with this, right? Kiss or kill.
Okay.
As always. The Eagles.
Ooh.
Seduce the Eagles? The barn rolls to seduce the Eagles?
Yep. Zeus. Zeus is an option here. Kiss or kill.
Uh-huh.
Now,
gotta go with kiss.
Now that
that would be the easiest route, I think. But I think you'd have to deal with Hera after the fact, and that's a whole new ailment.
You just announced my third option, Hera. Hera, third option. Gonna be a little harder on that one. And the kill, well, that one's about a 50-50 chance that it does or doesn't work, right? But Zeus is also a stern man who likes a little dick every now and again.
I think killing Hera would probably send the Eagles after you instead of your patient.
Yeah.
Is what would probably happen.
Oh, this is for the patient to do.
Oh, the patient has to do it.
This is me giving a prescription.
Your prescription.
I've been giving a prescription for them to do these things. Like the stone man, he hasn't left my office. So he just has the prescription post-it note on his fucking forehead.
Your prescriptions are on post-it notes?
Okay.
Well, yeah, they're
they
cheap.
like orange post-it? Oh, so they're cheap, so they're not even colorful. They're just the yellow post-it notes, and it's not even actual post-it. It's knockoff sticky notes.
I have a stamp that I put at the corner of everything, and it's to notarize it. But a lot of times the pharmacies
legit.
Don't take it. But that's not my fault.
What would Asclepius say right now?
What would Asclepius say right now? I don't think he'd be impressed.
He'd agree with me on most of those. These are mythological doctors we're talking about. I know the mythological ways.
Do you?
You know what? Actually, I think Pliny the Elder would probably be on DJ's side. And he's the closest we have to a primary source, so fuck, I think DJ wins.
Damn.
All right. I don't think it's going to get better than that. Anybody else got anything before we get the hell out of this episode? Please actually see real medical professionals for your problems.
Just remember, little running water, kiss or kill.
Maddy, thank you so much for joining us in this episode and letting us trick you into chaos. I think is what we actually did. I think we tricked you.
Yes.
That's okay. Okay.
Very probably.
We're a cozy educational mythology podcast. Do you want to come in and play a game where we recommend running water and murder?
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
You have truly survived this quest, and you definitely get to go to the big house and show off your trophies. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, so you can find Fatal Flaw on Twitter and Instagram at Fatal Flaw PJO. Mm-hmm. And we don't post very often, but we're there.
You did just return for 2 back-to-back episodes after a 6-month hiatus.
We did. Very exciting stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think we have 12 episodes instead of 10 now. So
congratulations. That's a great number. Thank you all so much for listening. It's been super fun. Maddy, thank you for being here. Really, this was really fun. I was really glad to have you come on and talk about this and share your wisdom with our audience and your just charm and personality.
Yes.
And one more time, thank you, listeners, for listening. We will be back on Tuesday, March 15th. Until then, don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Podcast of Poseidon is created and hosted by Darien and DJ Smartt. It's edited by Darien Smartt. The show is produced by Darien and DJ Smartt, as well as
Tim O'Connor, the Crystal Con Man, Dionysus the Drunk. Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Hain, and our cover art is by Audrey Miller. You can find her on Instagram at bombshellnutshellart.
Like the show? Ready for more? Subscribe support Podcast of Poseidon on Patreon. Just $1 gets you exclusive bonus content. Find out more at patreon.com/podcastofposeidon.
Can't spare the drachmas? You can support the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcast or by sharing us with your friends. Find all of our episodes and episode transcripts at podcastofposeidon.com.
Thanks for listening.